Hey guys, you're watching C1 and Landly. My name is AJ, and we are back on another episode of Let's Build a City, episode 82. And I have a bit of a confession to make before we start. This episode was originally meant to be live commentary. However, for some reason, I don't know how, but when I finished the episode, I went to have a look at my audio, and my microphone settings were messed up, and my voice was all like this, and it was all horrible. So, I couldn't use it. So instead, I thought, well, I can speed it up. I'll speed the video up. You guys really enjoyed it last time I sped the video up. So, yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it again. Some of you actually almost preferred it when the video was sped up, and we just talked through what I was doing while we were building it. So today, we are building a public library. And near me, in my area, there are two public libraries. But the trouble is, both of the libraries in my area are very modern looking. They're very white, very clean, very glassy, and I really prefer the look of older public libraries, you know, where they're all bricked and just old style. And that's the look that we went for. That's the design that I decided to go for in the end. It's a very cool shape. I really like the shape of this build. Making it up from the top of my head, really. I didn't know what direction I was going to go in with it. I didn't know what the window styles were going to be. So you see me make a few mistakes, and then we correct them and we have a look through it. It takes a long time to sort of pick out what sort of windows we want. But it's a really interesting, what would you call it, sort of method of doing it. I really find it interesting, completely starting from scratch and having a build that no one else has done, hasn't been planned before recording, and we just go with it. And usually 99% of the time it turns out okay. I like to think it turns out okay. So I've gone with a mix of brick and sandstone, and there is a reason for that. And my reason for I use a lot of brick and sandstone in my builds, and it's because there are so many different variations of brick and sandstone. You've got the slab and stair version of each, and then in the sandstone you've also got like a different type of sandstone block, and then you've got the creeper sandstone block, which gives you a lot of detailed options, and it can make a building look really cool, which is why I like in general the mix between sandstone and brick. Plus they actually go really well together, and they're a realistic match. In real life you see a lot of, not with sandstone obviously, but in real life you see a lot of buildings that are mixed with red brick and a sort of yellower brick. I don't know what they are. I think they're usually limestone on older buildings. So here we're working out the sort of arch on the top of the window, and it took me ages to come up with something I liked. It took us so long, in fact, that it became nighttime. By the way, did you notice that I started the episode in the day? It's a very unusual thing for me to do. I usually start the episode just as the sun's setting, and we have to sleep the night away right at the beginning, which always annoys me. So then we work out where we want to have some, what do you call them, windowsills, and I was still playing about with some designs, but in the end I really did like the stairs. I know it's a bit of an odd shape, it doesn't happen all that often. I don't really do that sort of stairs sort of half in it, but it just worked on this building, and once the whole building is complete, I think you'll agree with me. That is the trouble. I say this quite a lot, but I do have the habit of not giving builds a chance, and a lot of you guys have that problem as well, and you're too quick to judge. I'm exactly the same. I'm exactly the same. I see a build, or I'm building a build, and I think, nope, I don't like it, and I rip it down and I start again, start the wall again, start the window again, when you shouldn't do that. You should really give it a chance, add some bits to it, change some bits to it, and it will come. It always does come. And since I've sort of given the build a chance, given builds in general as a chance, it really has improved. It's a lot quicker to do because you're not taking everything down if you don't like it, and it improves your experience, improves your skill at building as well. I say, people always say that I'm a great builder, and I really do appreciate that every time someone says you're really good at building. Personally, I think I'm about average, but I don't like to think that. I don't think anybody likes to sort of praise their own builds. It's a bit egotistical, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You don't like to do that. But I am pleased that you guys really like my builds. I really like my builds as well. If I don't like a building, I do rip it down eventually, but I leave a few weeks, I improve upon it. A lot of the buildings on this whole city are actually, some of them are slightly changed, some of them are quite drastically changed to when we actually built them in the episode. There's quite a few buildings that I've done that with, and after the episode I've kept it there for a few weeks, and then I've sort of gone back to it and I've gone, you know, I don't quite like that bit of it. I don't quite like how that is. So I'll go back and I'll change it, and it's a really important thing to do, because that way your buildings get better, your building skills get better, and you learn how to improve a building. So yeah, it's definitely worthwhile sort of giving it a chance. But anyway, let's get on to this build. So I've got the side windows in here, just working out where we want the windowsills to be, and I decided to put the windowsills, as you can see, quite low down to the ground, lower than the window. And the reason why I've done that is because I've put it on the lower half of the block, so we can put plant pots on it. Next episode we'll be building the interior. Now this is what I was talking about a lot while actually building this episode, building with live commentary. As I was saying, a lot of you wanted me to build a public library or a library, and you wanted me to do the interior. But let's be honest, guys, the interior of a library isn't that interesting in Minecraft. There's a lot of bookshelves, and that's about it. So I was very dubious about doing an interior, but I think we've done this building in a way that we can actually do an interior and make it look quite good. There will be a lot of bookshelves in it, but I was playing around with the back here. I wanted to get a circle in, but it ended up being too big, so I make it smaller and smaller and smaller throughout the episode, as you'll see. But what I've done is, on the bottom floor, I've got windows on the two sides, you know, on the I don't know what you'd call it, east and west side, if you like. I've got windows on the bottom floor, but on the top floor I don't. There's no windows actually on the second floor, if you like. And the reason for that is because I want two levels inside on the interior. And the first level, we can put the bookshelves down, not against the wall, because we don't want to block the windows, but we can have like aisles of bookshelves. And then on the top floor, what I want is a balcony where you can see down from the sort of second floor. You can look down into the ground floor, if you like, and have like a big hole in the middle. And because there's no windows on the second floor, we can put the bookshelves on the walls of the building, and we're not going to block out any light, we're not going to block out any windows. And I think we can do it in an interesting way, which is difficult to do, because as I said, Minecraft libraries really don't usually end up looking that amazing on the inside. You can do some really crazy stuff with exteriors, but interiors, yeah, it's very, very difficult. So now I'm just building the other side. I sort of gave up for a little bit on the back wall of the library, because I couldn't get a circle that looked right. I didn't know where the roof was going to go quite at this time. I didn't want to go too high, I didn't want it to be too low. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll match up the other sides, you know, the two walls, but get three walls together, and that'll give me a better idea on how exactly we want the back wall to go. Because I don't want any windows on the back wall. There's no windows on the ground floor, there's no windows on the upper floor. So I was going to have bookshelves all along the back there. But if we just left it as a plain brick wall, it would have looked so boring and so dull from that direction. From this direction, you know, from the side of the sort of police station that we're nearby, the building looks really, really interesting. There's a lot of detail in it. There's a lot of sort of depth to the build. You know, it's a lot of ins and outs, and it looks really good. However, from the back, it's just going to look completely plain. So when we get there, I actually spend quite a long time figuring out what we do. We add some slabs in some parts, and we take some bits away, and in the end, I think we nail it. I really do. I think we get it looking interesting from the back, even though it is just a plain wall. But tell me what you guys think. You guys are great judges. You're always very fair judges, and I always enjoy hearing what you guys say about the builds. You know, you're usually very fair. Sometimes, admittedly, you're wrong, but most of the time you're actually right, and that's fair to say. I think you know, some of your ideas are really good. Some of them have already been done a lot before in the past on other channels and stuff like that. And on my builds, I like to do things that no one else has done. Do you know what I mean? There's not really many channels out there that are building a city. I know there are a few. I know there's a few, and I know of one that's on Xbox 360. Well, is he on Xbox? I don't know if he's on Xbox One, but he's building a city as well. And I like to do things that are just a little bit unique, you know, a little bit different. I think my commentary style is unique. I think my building style is fairly unique as well. There's not many buildings out there that look similar to mine in general. So when you guys come up with an idea that you've put in the comment section below, if it's been done a lot before, I won't do it. I probably won't do it. Or if I do it, I'll have a long think on how exactly I want it to be done. You know, how I want it to look. I don't plan out my buildings, you know, as you can tell by the amount of mistakes I make. I don't like to plan them out. I don't like to sort of go into a world and plan out how I want it to look and do a sort of prototype, if you like, first. I like to do it on camera, top of the head, you know, off the top of the head, and just see how we go with it. And sometimes, though, some builds do take a little bit of thought in my head. I don't build them out in Minecraft. But I do think about how I want it to look in my head, how sort of high I want the walls to be, how sort of high I want windows to come up to, and stuff like that. The other thing we don't get around to, unfortunately, this episode, is doing the surrounding area. Because we know, because you're watching the episode, you guys know that this is a library. However, to the outsider, there's going to be no way on earth that they would know that this is actually a library. There's no giveaway tells on the outside that it's a library. Obviously, as soon as they go inside, they'll know it's a library because it'll be full of books. But on the outside, it just looks like a brick building. As you can see, this back is very dull. So yeah, next episode we'll be doing the exterior as well as doing the interior, but sort of the exterior surrounding area. And we'll do it in a way that hopefully we can make it look like an actual exterior of a library. And I'm not going to say anything about how I'm going to do that, but I've got some ideas in my head. But you'll have to tune in next episode to find out about that. So yeah, I decided that it's a little bit dull still. There's a lot of brick and stuff like that. So I decided to add some slabs, on top of and below the brick stairs that we've got in the middle there. Now it sort of hides the fact that there are stairs there, but if you look at it on a side angle, it really does show, you know, and you can tell. And I think that really makes a difference. Just those little slabs and the stairs sticking out there, and those little tiny round windows on the back. Just, I don't know, just emphasise the back. It makes it a little bit more interesting. It doesn't look like a completely flat, plain wall, and yet it's going to be practical when we do the interior. So the roof here, I was a little bit indecisive with for a little while. These sort of columns on the side sort of are like little castle towers, you know, little castle towers each side. I was very careful, however, not to make it look like a castle or a church. Those were the two things that I didn't want it to look like. However, there are a lot of parts to the building that actually look sort of churchy and sort of castle-y like the big pillars on the side make it look like a castle, and the big pointed roof in the middle makes it look a little bit like a church or a chapel or that type of thing. But I was very careful not to get too close to that. I didn't want it to be a little tiny chapel in the middle of the city here. We've got a cathedral. We don't need any other churches or stuff. So I had to delete the blocks so I could get the stairs in, but then I thought, well, we can use creeper blocks in that, make it a little bit more detailed on the side, a little bit of a focus point for your eye to catch. And then here, this was the other trouble that I had, was getting this roof bit tied in nicely. It's very hard. Roofs in general are very difficult to do. They're not easy, you know. You have to really work at a roof, and most of the time I do cut the roofs out on my videos, but that's because they just take so much work and they take so long to do that you can spend a whole episode. You can spend 20 minutes doing a roof alone. I think this roof in real time was about a quarter of an hour, which is, well, a bit less than the length of this whole episode. This is 3 times sped up, by the way, so in total this took it would have been about 45-50 minutes-ish. Yeah, nearly an hour. I think there's a bug as well, as you can see there. I think there's a bug with Xbox One with the stairs being turned. I've never really had that problem before of it like turning the wrong way. I tried all sorts of different ways to turn it, but it just didn't work, which is why I put slabs there in the end. And in the end, I think I would have preferred it anyway with slabs, so it done a good job. But I think that is a little bit of a bug. Maybe you guys can play around with it and let me know if you ever have trouble. It was sort of doing a 90-degree interior angle and then a 90-degree exterior angle and then coming back on itself. It just didn't like. So we come to the top here. And then as you can see, we actually have a very flat area at the top, and I didn't want that. I didn't want to just fill it in with cobblestone along the top. I don't think that would look good. So what I've done is I went around the outside with a slab to give it that half block height, and then I went around with bricks on the inside, and then put the sandstone slabs around it. Decided to go with the same castle design as what we went on the front of the building there, on the front two side towers, just to tie it in nicely. And I think together they really, really blend well together. You know, they look good. So yeah, I was impressed in the end. I was just showing you around it. I think it looks good. I'm really chuffed with it. I think it looks really, really nice. And I think I end up putting a little tiny window in the top there. But anyway, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry that it wasn't in real time, but as I said, I know a lot of you actually enjoy the episodes being sped up. I used the wrong wood there, so we sprucey wood, and I opened the door so it looks like, well, so we can do the interior next episode. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We shall see you in the next episode. Bye!